So welcome again. Here we are again in the second segment of this video. We covered pretty much dealing with adult and young learners in distance learning in the previous two videos, and then we're back here today. We're gonna be start talking about something else. But in this segment of this video, though, I would wanna give you a rundown of the basics and everything that's in you need to know in distance learning. So now the fundamental question everyone would obviously ask when they hear about distance learning, the fundamental question everyone would comes straight in your mind would be why distance learning. And I have said before that distance learning is not a thing of new. It's been around for so many decades. We just were not exposed to it yet as we are right now. So we have been experiencing it. People have been doing distance learning even way before the internet got introduced. As I said previously, distance learning. There are different forms of distance learning, which we talked about. There are different forms of learning, and one of them, which is probably the oldest that was in place even before the internet came to place, was the fact that people, educational institutions actually had to mail out the material needed for the course to the learner. Then the learner would get the material from their location, from their address, do the task and everything that was required, and then would mail it back again to the institution, and then they would be communicating back and forth, and then until the learner actually, certifies through an exam, and then they would be given their degree or their diploma or whatever it was. So this is, I'm telling you this story to certify the fact that distance learning is not a new concept. It's been around for way too long. We just didn't experience it yet, or we just didn't see it because of the way it was. It wasn't really too accessible as it is now. But because of the outburst in the COVID-19 over the past months, distance learning has more than ever before been well embraced, and a lot of people are experiencing it and living it these days. So now in this video, I'm going to be telling you basically a rundown of everything that we have done until now when it comes to distance learning. So now the first question that would run into anyone's mind when they hear about distance learning would be why. Now I'm gonna tell you a little story. Like there is a friend of mine. He is a teacher. He's teaching in one of the universities in the developed countries out there. So now, because of the outburst in the COVID, he is having his class anywhere in the world, anytime. Like, he would move from his country to the next country, and he is having his class right there, and he moves to another country, and he's having his class right there. So what's happening is he is kind of multitasking with his life right now. He can go over visit his aunt in another country, have a vacation there, and he is working at the same time. So with this level of convenience that comes with distance learning, now he is experiencing something new now. He is he is able to do his job much more easily than ever before, and I'm sure that he loves his job even more than ever before now. Now, this is what people are being exposed to thanks to distance learning, thanks to the unfortunate situation of what we find ourselves now, that has made us to switch things around, and now we are being introduced to new things, doing the same things we used to do in other forms, and it comes with more benefits. So these are the things that happen, and then you actually see that you know things would not things will never be the same again, even after we go through this pandemic of the COVID-19. Things would never be as they were before. Things are going to change. Now this is what happens. This is what happens, and we life is constantly changing, and we have to accept that. We cannot deny it. We cannot think that we are not moving. We are obviously moving. So we are more than ever before exposed to the realities of distance and online learning right now, and we are clearly seeing that it is not a bad idea as it could be. Like, it is, on the other hand, it could be even a way better idea. So we have everything now that's drifting to online: ordering food, shopping, everything, education, everything is drifting online now. And once things go online, it comes to our advantage in a way that we become more independent. We become more independent in our choices. We choose what we want to do. We are in charge of shaping our own destiny, because once I can decide to study what I want to study online or in a distance program, because I know the outcomes that will come from that program. So anyways, today I want to be going through a kind of summary, running down what we have covered until this much. Before next week we will be getting into how to designing a distance learning program, and also how to identify that which programs are actually genuine, so you don't actually fall into the numerous scams and the numerous negative sides of distance learning and online programs that could be out there on the internet. Now, as I said before, if you hear about distance learning, the program that will come to you first, the question that comes to your mind right away is why? Why distance learning? So distance learning has made education more accessible to larger groups of people. It is a convenient way to obtain work experience while completing college or other vocational training. Many organizations such as the military, large corporations, and government agencies rely on distance education to train service members and employees. Education has also changed as communication technology has revolutionized society. Now we even go at the level of military training. A lot of these things now are done through distance education. You can have the military being trained by a general from a distance, and they can have all that ongoing in a form of a distance learning program. In most cases, education or specialized training is a requirement for most high-paid jobs. The availability of the internet has increased the number of online courses. Okay, now, why engage in distance learning? The reasons are very numerous. There are uncountable reasons for it. It could be war. It could be unable to actually get out, go to the regular traditional school. That is immobility due to handicap. Due to a deformity in our physical body. There could be another reason. It could be bullying. It could be bullying. These days, a lot of kids are being bullied at schools. So to solve that problem, they would tend to engage in distance learning. So it could be a financial problems because it has been proven, and we talked about it in the previous videos, that distance learning tends to be on the good side of money, because most distance learning programs tend to be cheaper than actually going to a face-to-face program in a traditional university setting. So it could be economic reasons. It could be uh, the fact of you multitasking. You don't have enough time to actually set aside to travel back and forth to attend your classes, so you choose to be there because you can easily manage your time. There could be another reason for that. It could be the reason of not being able to actually go to the, for example, um, it's not very easy to get visas for, especially for people from developing countries. It's not very easy for them to get visas to go to the countries and study where they want to study. Well, it's unfortunately it's true. Regardless of what kind of paperwork you have, sometimes the embassies just say we're not issuing you a visa for this trip, and then the dreams of that learner get all the way a wall. They hit the wall right there when you get the kind of information from the embassies. So there are a lot of reasons, tons and tons of reasons why we engage in distance learning. Uh, so the reasons could be personal. They could depend on your circumstances. They could have all this, but whatever the case is, there are different reasons why people engage in distance learning. Now, the second question is who uses distance learning? Now, who uses distance learning? Now, you pretty much, from what I have covered over this a period of time, you'll realize that distance learning is pretty much for everyone. Everyone is in it. I don't think there is actually an age group except for really, really young learners. Well, I don't think there is really an age group that would stand out and say distance learning was designed for us. No, I don't think so. Well, it's basically for everyone. But from my material here, it says who uses distance learning. More students today are taking advantage of distance learning programs. Working professionals, high school students, and even traditional college students enroll in distance learning classes. Companies and other organizations frequently utilize distance learning programs to train employees. The following are some of the reasons people enroll in distance learning programs. Now, this was reading from my material. Students living in rural areas or those unable to attend traditional classes utilize distance learning. Students from all over the world can enroll in online classes offered at specific colleges. Companies utilize distance learning programs to train employees, especially those working in distance region. Now, you see, now it benefits a lot of people in different situations. Distance learning. If I have an employee that I really cherish so much, he is, well, it doesn't even have to be that way. Like if I have an employee, and I wanna have that person engage in more education so they could do their job even much better. If I'm offered the chance to actually send the employee to abandon their work and go out for more training, or have that training done right as they work in a form of distance learning, of course I would choose the option of having them be at work while they are pursuing their study in a distance learning situation. So you see, now this makes things more convenient for me as an employer, and for the employee as well, because they keep working as well. So these are just the things that I keep telling you guys to understand, that we are in an era where it's very difficult for to turn a blind eye on distance learning based on the facts that we are experiencing, and based on everything. So now moving on, distance learning is very flexible, as we already know. Very flexible. You can actually do it anytime, anywhere. You can do it as you want. Now, although distance learning can fit into anyone's schedule, students must take the initiative to study and complete their coursework. Now, they must complete their coursework. Distance learning programs are not easy or automatic, so lazy students will probably not successfully complete courses they enroll in. However, even students that are busy or have numerous responsibilities should find the time to study because of the flexibility of these programs. So we have this situation. Well, as I also mentioned in one of the videos, students engaging in distance learning can easily or more likely tend to be lazy or lousy because they don't actually, no one is actually, pushing them into completing tasks and everything. They are more in charge of their programs. Now, this is this is a kind of a low side of distance learning, as you would say it, in quotes. But however it is, there are tasks that need to be completed, and that's a requirement. So regardless of how much you delay, because you are in a distance learning program, you end up still completing the task if you need to actually complete your course and graduate from it. So it's pretty much the same with any other educational situation. Now, what technology is used for online distance learning? Now, as I said before, there are a lot of technology that can be used, and it's just up to the learner to choose which one is which one is appropriate. However, some distance learning programs, the design includes the kind of technology you would need to be able to get the best out of the program. Some programs will require you to get for example, they will tell you need to get a Win or what is it, Microsoft edition this, edition 10, edition, to be able to get access to the programs that are being used into the softwares and things that are being used into running that program. So they can have this requirement, in the design of the program. So it's also the responsibility of the learner to make sure that they understand what kind of technology they would use during the course of this program before they actually get enrolled in it. Once they have that, they know what kind of what kind of technology they need in order to be effectively participating in this program, then it would make them to be more prepared into facing it. So the technology, literally, as the question was, what technology is used for online learning, it's pretty much depend on the program itself. So I would recommend you, before engaging in an online or distance learning program, it's it would be helpful if you contact the program provider to have a talk about what kind of technology you need in order to get through with the program, so that you can already have that taken care of, so you don't get stuck or you don't get embarrassed at some point during your program. Now, what is the experience like for online distance learners? What is the experience like? Now, since distance learning is slowly becoming a popular way to complete college or job training, well, I wouldn't say slowly now again, because it was slow, not anymore now. Now it is pretty much becoming mainstream, and I think not mistakenly, over 50% of the world now is probably studying through distance or online right now. So many people still have reservations about it. The details provided below will give those considering distance learning an idea of what it is like. Now, here we go. Students usually interact with classmates and teachers in chat rooms and other instant messaging services. Right, this is a very necessary tool and I had mentioned in just the previous video that it is a red flag if you don't see any kind of situation where you would have direct interaction with other students or with your teachers. That would be a red flag. The reason is because this makes it possible to ask questions and share comments without sitting in a classroom. Now, teachers' lectures are frequently broadcast online, and many students and teachers stay in touch via conference calling technology. So now this is what it is like. What is the experience is like for distance learning? That's one of it. Now, two, group work is completed in chat rooms and special rooms on websites. Students also use email, instant messaging, and web broadcasting technology to discuss project ideas with classmates. Now, as I am actually here in a video, in an online class situation, you could have a student have this kind of presentation to you, and this would be shared with the other students, so they can have that feeling of being together in the same classroom. Now, course assignments completed by students are completed on a website or submitted as email attachment. Students are usually not permitted to submit work completed on websites after due dates. So, in distance learning programs that are well designed, the deadlines are very strict. The deadlines are very strict. The reason is because, as I said, students can naturally tend to feel lazy when they engage in distance learning because of the fact that there is very little supervision. They tend so therefore a good design of a distance learning program, the deadline of submission of projects should be very strict so that the learner cannot miss the deadline. So that's one of the things, that's one of the experiences that online learners would encounter. And then course assignments completed by students are competed on a website or submitted as email attachments. Most reference materials such as documents and books are accessible online for students. So when you reference something, it's accessible on the internet, so they can click on the link and they go straight into what you referenced. And then as a result, students usually do not have to visit libraries to complete traditional research. Many of the books students need are scanned and placed online. Now this pushes me right to talk about the ebooks. I had talked about ebooks at some point in one of my videos, one of the classes. I talked about ebooks. Now, we have everything compressed now into your tablet or into your laptop. You don't have to have a bunch of 100 books lined up in your shelf as traditionally was in the past. Now we have all these books that are compressed now and put into your laptop in the form of ebooks. Could have 1,000 books there. So everything now seems so easy, guys. You have no reason to not be able to put in your maximum potential. There is really no reason. In the past, you would go all around the country looking for a particular book you're looking for. You would visit library to library, library to library. You don't have to do that anymore. Now you just get into ebooks and you click it, search it, it's out there. You could get it. Most of them are free. Most books are free on the internet. You have to pay for some, but there are a lot more free books as well. So guys, you don't have any reason to not be able to put in your maximum potential right now. Now, questions for instructors can be asked over the phone, through an email, or in a chat room. Instant messaging technology is becoming a very popular way for students and teachers to interact. Now, the question was, why is the experience like for learners? Now, let's move on to something else. Now, choosing a distance learning school. So, I also mentioned that we would do a segment of our video to cover this. Because it is very important that you absolutely know what you are getting into. But just in a nutshell, in a very summarized way, the most important thing you should look at when signing up for a distance learning is the accreditation of the program. Is it authentic? Is it something that would actually get me a certified degree as I would need it for whatever for whatever reason I want it for. You should make sure to verify that information before you get enrolled in a distance learning program. So yeah, seriously, you don't want to ignore this fact, because as I said, there is on the internet, you believe what you believe at your own risk. So guys, take care of that. Now we're gonna move on to now we already talked about the cost, and we established that it was it was kind of cheaper to study from the internet during into from a distance learning program. It's a little bit cheaper. Now for the last part of this video, which because of time I'll need to round it up, but the last thing you need to know when getting into the distance learning program is to have a plan. Have a plan, not just get into it randomly. You should have a plan. Now if your ultimate goal is a degree, then taking an online class here or there because the content sounds interesting or useful isn't a real plan. Instead, you need to create a plan that leads to your goal. You may be part way through a residential degree program looking to fill some course gaps. You may be working or getting an academic head start by knocking out some early courses online before heading to a residential program. Or you may be looking for a degree that can be earned entirely online. Whatever your approach, be sure to formulate a plan that leads to a degree before enrolling in an online course. Guys, well, I really wish we could keep going with this one, but we're gonna because of time, we're gonna end it here for this segment of it. And then as I already introduced, we're gonna be talking about red flags and how to identify and how to choose to pick up a distance learning program when you're ready to engage in it. So guys, this is it for this segment, and then have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Thanks guys, thanks for today.